If you asked me a few months ago what my most anticipated game of all time is, I would have said Elder Scrolls 6. I also probably would have said that a decade ago. So would a lot of people. This game is a really big deal. The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim was a massive deal when it came out. It basically defined the next decade of the open world RPG genre, and even today there aren't many games that have the same freedom that Skyrim has. Having the choice to completely ignore the main storyline and fall deep into a world full of fleshed out quests, cities, and characters was basically unheard of when Skyrim first released. While Skyrim is brimming with life at every turn, it also keeps its cards close, so that even after thousands of hours and multiple playthroughs, there's still always something new to find. Whether that's an unexplored cave, or a branch to a quest line that changes how you fundamentally play the game. And yeah, mods helped a bit with that too. Of course, for anybody like me who has fallen deeply in love with Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 6 was the game to look forward to. But things have changed. The standards of open world RPGs and the gaming industry as a whole has been raised. Skyrim isn't the pinnacle of the genre anymore. We can still look back and respect it for the jump in innovation and impact it had on video games today, but that's exactly what it is. Just like carriages were pulled by horses, we've got cars, man. Skyrim might have done the walking, but it's a race now, and the only way to keep up is to evolve with the times. Which brings me to Bethesda. Here's what Bethesda as a company looks like post-Skyrim and the years that followed. 4 years later, in 2015, Fallout 4 was released. The Fallout series before Skyrim has always been at the highest level when it comes to the RPG genre. Even some of my friends consider Fallout New Vegas to be the greatest game of all time. Not a lot of people say that about Fallout 4. Don't get me wrong, it's not at all a bad game by any means. Some would even say it's on par with Skyrim, which I think is a fair comparison. That being said, maybe it isn't a step back for Bethesda, but it certainly isn't a huge step forward either. In fact, I'd say that it has everything Skyrim has minus the innovation. Okay, but obviously this is fine, right? We might be used to Bethesda delivering banger after banger, so one just okay game isn't really a bad thing. Three years later, in 2018, we got Fallout 76. Now, discussion of this game has been beaten to death at this point. I'm not going to say all the things everyone has already said 1,000 times over. This game sucked when it came out. Does it still suck? I don't know. I'm definitely not going to play it, but if there were a scientific graph to show the level of quality of Bethesda games before Fallout 76 to after, this is what it would look like. It's clear that something went horribly wrong here, but I will give credit where it's due. Bethesda was trying something new. As far as I'm aware, multiplayer was something that we've never seen before in a Bethesda game. So you know what? We crashed and burned, but we went out with dignity at least. And finally, we reached Starfield just a few months ago, a brand new IP in the Bethesda universe. After years of shame for their previous blunders, they finally have a chance to redeem themselves. This was going to be the game where Bethesda brings back what they're known for: deep and nuanced world building, characters with their own histories and ways to mold the story to your own liking. This was Bethesda's chance to say, look guys, we still got it. We can still stand tall with the other AAA companies. And honestly, the prospect of playing Skyrim, but this time we're in space, was really cool. But I think they took that a little too literally. To me, Starfield is an even bigger disappointment than Fallout 76. 76 might have done the bulk of the damage, but Starfield really is the nail in the coffin for me. Yeah, this is the space Skyrim game they promised, but there's nothing new here. It's the same dated dialogue system, the same loading screens at every turn, the same clunky menus and looting system that's been used since Morrowind. I won't deny, there is a charm to the Bethesda formula. You know exactly what to expect when you play their games, but I don't want to know what to expect. This is one of the biggest AAA companies in the world we're talking about here. Shouldn't at least some of the most important systems in their games be updated just a little bit after 10 years? I don't think that's asking a lot. There are so many other games that have been raising the RPG standard since Skyrim came out. The Witcher 3 already trumped Skyrim's questing system a few years after release. Hell, No Man's Sky came out in 2016 and did everything Starfield was trying to do with only 6 developers. And even then, Starfield couldn't deliver on the standards that game set. I could have forgiven this game if it had the passion, love, and care that Bethesda has shown in the past, but it's just not there. So I have a new code of conduct when it comes to Bethesda. If something isn't specifically shown in the gameplay presentations, do not assume it's there. I made this mistake with Starfield. I was naive to think that a space game about flying ships to different planets would involve flying a ship to different planets. I won't make that mistake again. The truth is that ever since Fallout 4, it seems like more thought has gone into the trailers and presentations than the actual game itself. Look, we all love Todd Howard. Even Bethesda's biggest haters love Todd Howard. But this guy is like Steve Jobs if the iPhone came out and it sucked. Todd absolutely knows how to sell a game. There's a reason why we all know who he is, but he's also the director of those games. We know he's good at directing because he directed Skyrim and Oblivion and Fallout 3. Now, just from an outside perspective, it seems like Todd just got a little too salesman-pilled and forgot he actually had to make the game too. So when he says things like you can land anywhere on a planet, he really means you can click anywhere in a menu map. Of course that's not a selling point, but if you assume he's talking about actually controlling the ship yourself, then it could be. Recently, Bethesda's main goal hasn't been to improve on what makes their games special, but to pretend like they have. To put it plainly, they want to sell as many copies as possible, and that's about the extent of it. To go as ambitious with a project as they can to get you in the door, and then leave before they can deliver on it. As much as I just said 100 negative things about Bethesda, I want to make this very clear. This is not a representation of the entire company. I'm sure there are game devs at Bethesda who put their entire heart into these games. I know there are. With everything I complain about, there are still things I enjoy about Starfield. Small things like having a perk that allows you to visit your parents, or a janitor who you can befriend by buying them coffee. This isn't a problem of the little guy making a mistake. This is about the bigger picture and vision of their games. Which makes you wonder, what is Elder Scrolls 6 gonna look like? It's hard to feel excited by a game when you've been betrayed so many times. Especially now that I've played incredible RPGs like Baldur's Gate 3, it's hard to imagine Elder Scrolls 6 even coming close to something like that with the direction things have been headed. Everyone's gonna buy Elder Scrolls 6 because of course they will, but what comes after? If this game does fail, I don't know if Bethesda can recover from that. All I'm saying is that this is gonna be an uphill battle. In order to win back the audience who loved their games, Elder Scrolls 6 needs to be done right. That means not only a return to form in their gameplay and storytelling, but also to rethink the way that a Bethesda game is supposed to be. It's not about the scale, it never has been. It's about delivering on a true RPG experience. A place where someone can get lost. A place where someone actually wants to get lost in the first place. You don't need to overpromise. Everyone's gonna buy the game anyways. Just make something with its own identity. Make a game that feels like it was worth waiting 15 years for. Anyways, sorry about the ramble, but I'm curious how you guys feel about Elder Scrolls 6. Are you still excited for it? Because I'm not so sure. Subscribe for more videos if you haven't already, and yeah, see you later.